welcome to the BuildASoil Family Farms YouTube series. This is episode 3. Today we're going to show you our most important job here on the farm, which is turning over a bed, getting it ready for new crops. So today I'm solo, Jeremy's in a meeting, and we have a lot of work to do here today. So I wanted to show you one of the most important jobs on the farm. We really need to get this done, so I didn't want to leave everybody out on this process. Thank you so much to everyone for your comments about the radishes and what could be going after them. We don't have snails or slugs. It's definitely not an issue, so I've eliminated that problem. I definitely think it's either pill bugs or a mouse. Last night we had one of our baby tomatoes get eaten and the stalk was completely chewed and fallen over. That's not pill bugs. So I'm assuming that there's a rogue mouse here in the greenhouse. So we're gonna set out some traps today. I will keep everyone updated on what it ends up being, but I really do appreciate everybody's feedback. I'm gonna show you what we do to get ready for planting when we have a crop that is old and needs to come out. So all these beds here that you see are already done. They've already been amended and turned over and ready for our tomatoes. We have a bed here that needs to be done, so we're gonna show you that today. We have a 50-foot bed that we have grown salad greens in, salad mix for the last 4 weeks. We need to pull these plants out and get them ready for the next crop, which is going to be basil. I wanted to give everybody a little bit of insight on how we do it here at BuildASoil Family Farms. There's a lot of manual labor that's involved in turning over a bed. One of the things that's really important when you are doing it this way is to be thorough. So we have a few things that we do to make sure that we don't have old crops growing into new crops. We've already taken out our drip lines. As you can see, we had 3 drip lines here. We've taken them out. I make sure that I have all my tools available before I start the job. We go section by section. So there's a lot of salad mix in there, so I don't want to overwhelm myself or maybe miss things. So we go section by section at a time. Let me just show you how I get started. So I usually start about, 5-6 feet up, and I go row by row. If you don't go row by row, there's a very high chance that you're going to miss some of your lettuce mix and have it grow back up. What I'd like to mention while I'm doing this is it's really important that you cut off the root ball where the plant would grow back. If you're not cutting that roots right here, you're definitely going to have your plant growing back. If I was to cut it up here and then leave this part in the soil, your plant is going to grow back, and usually it's not a big deal if you're putting the same crop in there, but it could be a big deal. So you want to make sure your rows are definitely all pulled up before you start clearing them out. You can see here that our soil is really, really soft. When we started here in the greenhouse, we had native soil. We definitely don't get every single little piece out. Some pieces are left in there to decay and rot and turn over. So now I just start going through my crop. I try not to steal too much soil out of my bed, but I also don't spend too much time getting soil off of them because that'll make your job extra long. Before I move on and keep going, I think it's really important to kind of run your hands through, and you'll feel if there's anything left. And so here we go. I can see that there's 1 root ball, but notice how there's still some greens in here. As long as they're not the actual root ball, it's okay to leave some of these to sort of just die and decay in the bed. It's really, really great for your soil. Just like trapping and dropping some cover crop, and then we just let that be. And then I keep moving down the line. See all the beautiful roots on here. When we started out in here, it was really just like so much clay. And when you turn over a bed like this, you wouldn't see this like beautiful texture. You wouldn't see this dark color. You wouldn't see all these roots. It would just be like hard clay. I would like to mention though that we were all so surprised on the way things grew in that native soil. Granted, we amended with craftland and little peat moss for conditioning, but even the first year we were here, we were just so surprised because outside, inside, everything grew so well. So it's only got better from that point. I love that because I know when I plant my next crop in there that it's gonna just be healthy. Some of these roots, it's definitely a little harder to get the soil off because the bed's pretty wet. And so I would suggest, if you know that you're gonna have to pull up a bed, to really not water as much as you normally would. We didn't really pay attention to that on this bed because we were harvesting it up until yesterday, so we didn't really have the opportunity to just let it dry out, or our crop would have suffered before harvest. Halfway through the bed here, I wanted to mention one of the things we do here at the farm is anytime that there is a rock in the soil or in our beds as we're making it up, it's really important that, number one, we don't use our really nice tools to pull up rocks. I typically recommend that someone go get a hand shovel or a shovel. You're going to dig it out of the soil and remove it from the greenhouse completely. Reason being is, as you try to condition your beds and get your soil at optimal texture, you know, your rocks are really going to get in the way of seeding, raking, all the things that you do here. So we take the rock and we remove it from the greenhouse. While I'm making the bed and doing the whole process, I usually set them over to the side and come back and get them later. Here on the farm, we're always trying to make our soil better. So removing the rocks from the bed is part of getting better and better every year. And eventually we won't have to do that, like I said, but we're on year 4 and I just found this giant rock in the middle of our bed. So just be paying attention and taking care of some of those things will just help you be better and help your soil get better. On our bed here, I've got all the green matter salad mix out of the bed. I did leave a little bit more than I would typically leave, but because we're putting tomatoes in and they're not going in today, I'm able to leave a little bit more and let it decay in the bed, which is actually the most beneficial for your bed and building up your soil. The next step in our process turning over a bed is aeration. So we have here from Johnny's, it is called a broad fork. Basically, I'm going to get it in the ground and move the soil just a little bit, allowing some air to go down, and then when I amend the bed, it'll allow some of those amendments to fall down deep into the soil. Pretty simple, kind of fun, but also a lot of hard work. Our beds are 30 inches wide. From this stake to this stake is 30 inches. So my broad fork fits perfectly right in the middle. It's pretty important when you're doing anything on your beds like this to try to stay within that, 30 inches, so you're not going into your aisles and doing unnecessary work. When we first started in here, this was really hard to do. You could barely get this broad fork in the ground. So as you can see, it went down pretty easy today, and that's basically because we've been building our soil and conditioning it to be the right texture for what we need. Give it a little wiggle. I don't pull it all the way up because I don't want to pull up clay, but I'm going to go ahead and I go about every foot and a half, and I'm just moving it. And then I'm going to do this all the way down my bed. It's just aeration. Okay, so the next step in the process here is amending. We use Craft Blend from BuildASoil. It's my favorite product. I've mentioned that before, but it has everything. There's fish, calcium, magnesium, phosphorus, kelp. There's just like so many different things in there that your plants can utilize. And so instead of me trying to figure out what this particular bed needs and doing soil tests every time I change over a bed, which would be crazy, I'm able to put Craft Blend in there knowing that that's going to amend it pretty much totally. Now, if I was having issues in my bed, I'd probably go grab a soil test and figure out what's going on. But I know the Craft Blend works. I've been using it for years. And so I'm going to show you how we apply that. It goes all the way down the bed and gets mixed in evenly as we go. This is my bucket of Craft Blend. It is 15 pounds. So that's what I have. 15 pounds is what we've calculated for our 30-inch by 50-foot bed. I put this in a zigzag pattern. So when I tilled it in with the tilder, it all goes in evenly and you don't just have one line down the middle. Scoop it with my hand, and then I just go in a zigzag pattern, and I go pretty quickly down the bed here. As you can see, the Craft Blend falls into the holes that I've just created. So not only am I aerating, but by creating that aeration, some of the top soil that is really fluffy and beautiful can fall down into there and help with that really hard clay that's underneath. And then also my amendments can go kind of deep down in there too. Smells like fish. There's a lot of oyster shell, fish meal in here. Usually when I use this in the greenhouse, I'm just covered in Craft Blend. So this is our tilder. This is the next step in the process after I put down my Craft Blend. We've had a lot of discussion between Instagram and YouTube about the fact that we use the tilder and not till. The first couple inches are disturbed with the tilder, With a tiller, you're usually going 6 inches or more down. With this product, it really is just to take those first few inches that we've just now aerated, we've put craft blend down, we've pulled everything out. It's even gonna mix in some of that leftover greens that I left on there and allow that to go under the soil into the dark and start decomposing pretty much instantly. So this tiller comes from Johnny Seeds also. It's pretty common on a no-till farm. It is 15 inches wide. It goes down our bed twice. You just go one run down, one run back up. And I'm gonna show you how it works right now. You can see it's drill powered, so that's pretty great. We've had this about 4 years. We have the ability to just adjust the handle so that you can stay outside of your bed and go down it while this thing's in the bed and not have to like straddle it the whole way down. We have our drill, which is what powers the entire thing. Basically, there's a rope that's attached to the drill here, and it turns this, which in turn turns these little blades down here. This is the only thing that controls it, is this little rope here. That's about it. So let me show you how it works. In order to make sure everything's really mixed in, I don't just go, you know, super fast down the line. I kind of pull back just a little bit, have it go a little bit slower. And if there's big clumps of amendment, I just take my time right there and make sure it's really mixed in. The next step in this process is to rake out our bed and get it ready for planting. This is a bed rake. It is actually called a bed rake. It's also from johnnyseeds.com. It is 30 inches wide. So this rake is specifically for raking out our beds. We have specific tools for specific jobs. This rake is not allowed to go anywhere else on the farm except for to rake out a bed that's already been tilled, broad forked, and everything else, because it is fragile and ridiculously expensive. So we only have 2. We make sure to take care of our tools and only use them for the jobs that they are designed to be for. So let me show you how we rake out our bed and get everything nice and even. This is actually kind of a tricky job. This bed is pretty even already, so I don't have to do too much work here. I just like to make sure everything is nice and smooth, because when you water, if you have big pits and big holes, you're going to end up having water gather there, which can really damage your plants in the future. So I don't want this side of my bed to be higher than this side, or the water will all just drain down this way. So making sure your edges are built up is really important for when you go to water. Now that we're all done raking out our bed, the next step in the process would be seeding and stringing out the bed so that we have a perfect guideline for that, which we'll show you in the next episode. Thanks for watching me make this bed today. It may not be all that interesting, but I hope you gained some information, maybe something that you can take away, use in your own garden. Once again, if you have questions, please go ahead, put them down in the comments section. We have a lot coming up this summer, so I'm really excited to show you guys all the rest of the processes here on the farm. So if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. We'd love to have you follow along our journey. Thank you so much, and we'll see you on the next episode.